Hello and welcome to Intel on AI. I'm your host, Ryan Carson, and I appreciate y'all joining us today. I am really looking forward to interviewing Phan today. He is the co-founder of Pixel ML. In June 2023, he led the launch of Quick QR Art, an AI-powered QR code art generator that has since attracted over 1.1 million creators globally. Pixel ML's innovative work has been recognized by programs such as Intel Liftoff, which we're a big fan of here at Intel, and industry partners like MMA Global. Phan is currently focused on developing Agentic Flow.ai, an AI-driven content supply chain solution designed to streamline enterprise marketing processes, aiming to help companies create and manage content more efficiently while ensuring compliance. Great to have you on the show today. Where are you calling in today from, by the way?
So at the moment, I'm in Southeast Asia, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
Awesome. Good to have you here. So for listeners that are new to AI agentic workflows, can you give a real-world example that demonstrates how they work, what they are, and more?
Yeah, so I think for this one, I would take an example from Professor Andrew from Deep Learning AI and also the co-founder of Coursera. So he was saying that ChatGPT have been done an amazing job, right? So it's like you are writing a piece of content. So and it is like you just ask it, ChatGPT saying, okay, you write it for me and just don't stop, just write from end to end. If I receive that task, I cannot do, but amazingly that ChatGPT can do, but it's just one shot prompting and it get that. But the level of like coherence and everything is not that good because it's not the way that humans normally do. Because when you have a piece of content, you are not just split out and writing everything, right? You need to brainstorm the key idea, the keyword that you would like to target, and then you do the outline, and then you write the first paragraph, and then you review with the outline and all of that. So actually, these kinds of like processing thought is actually something that we can mimic that with LLM, and that's what we call agentic workflow. And in Andrew research, he was saying that even with like GPT 3.5, which is very old model, with agentic workflow, it can offer the higher performance, even surpass the 4.0 or maybe 4.0 at the moment. So the idea behind is that. So instead of like one shot generation and getting the result directly, it will give the AI the time to self-reflection based on the input or instruction that you put in, and then based on the result that it is generated, and then it will polishing and maybe tweaking a bit before throw it to you. Yep. And this process is having done internally during the thinking process. And that not only applying for blog posts, but also apply for any kinds of content generation. I call it about like image generation, video generation, or code. All kinds of that can be applied the same process. That's what we call agentic AI workflow. And that's why I came up with the name of Agentic Flow, right? Agentic Flow means Agentic AI workflow. That's it.
Yep, I love it. It's interesting. I was talking to someone and they were explaining that what an LM doing is effectively, it's as if you said, write a huge paper about the history of the United States, and you're not allowed to press backspace, and you're not allowed to stop, and then seeing what happens, right? And that's effectively what LMs are doing when they generate the next token. And yet, like you said, it's amazing. But with agentic workflows, you're able to say, okay, create an outline first, and then think about it, and then refine that outline. Okay, write the first paragraph, and then refine that. And it's like you said, actually the way humans work, which is why it's much more effective. So it's going to be fun to kind of dig into agentic workflows as we talk more. So what is the most popular AI agent workflow that your customers utilize right now? What are you seeing they absolutely love and is the most popular one?
Yeah, so we have quite a lot of pre-built workflow, and our customer is also self-building them as well because we provide a no-code workflow builder for them to customize and distill their business process. But what I noticed is that there are two, not one, workflow that's really pick up. So one is about the lead contact enrichment. So for, just imagine that you have a company, you have your lead coming in from your website or blog post or something. They have email and name, but when you want like to reach out to them, then you don't have the information background about them to craft the personalized message that resonate to the customer and then warm them up and easier to close. So there's a lot of our customer that using our agentic workflow to lead generation. So based on their email, then we find their LinkedIn, we scrap their like profile, what are the posts that they recently share, and then we summarize and distill that into a short sentence that you know that what are the customers, what is his recent activities, and what is his might be interested on. And sometimes we are also having customer that using LLM to craft a personalized message based on that information, so that they can just copy and paste and send to customer based on that.
Wow.
So that is
And I imagine you could also do lead scoring in the same manner where
yeah.
we've got this cold lead come in. Yeah, we have their name and their email. Let's actually go out and try to figure out, the quality of that lead. I can imagine an agentic workflow doing something like that as well.
Yes, correct.
Absolutely. So I love that you describe the company as content supply chain solution. So can you tell us, the kind of problems that you see companies having with this content supply chain and then how agentic workflows start to fix that?
Yeah. So this is happened as my background. So I do the supply chain for more than half a decade, and all what we do is optimizing the efficiency. And when it's coming to the content creation, I saw that the process is very fragmented. And also the asset that created in each of the step is not utilized. So make an example. So we are having a customer that doing is very big pharmacist companies, and they are issuing like the medical blog post or email sending to their customer, which is like doctor or hospital. And because they are regulated industry, so they cannot just writing something and just post, right? They have to go through all of chance of like approval, fact check on this one area, and they can spend like months in order to deliver that. So their problem is that they may have a lot of data. They have a lot of asset, or they have the old article, or maybe a clinical record, but their creator who are writing the blog post maybe have different level. This guy is writing really good. He do the citation correctly, but this another guy is not that good. So the content and is creating is not balanced. So we can help them by curating and monitoring all of the assets that organization already produce. So those are like footage or maybe PDF file, medical record, and so on. We can retrieve them. We give an editor for the creator. They can writing their docs, and then we can retrieve. We just use an advanced drag workflow in order to retrieve that documentation. We give citation where is it coming from, and then they can be more confident that the content that they are producing is actually true. And then after that, yeah, what they do is that they need to do in some banner, right? They need to have some featured image, and we also help them to creating that as well. Either it can come from their like asset library that all their own company having, or even like it's coming from the stock like iStock and so on. And after that one, it need to be go to approval either way. And right now, it's approval via email. Like you send to someone take like few days to respond back, and that can take a week until that you can have some feedback to like either you compliant or not. So we build and we bring them all into one platform so that they can easily working together on one single platform. And one more is about the regulated industry. So you cannot just post everything you want. You need to comply to like marketing regulation policy of that country and so on. So instead of waiting until like the very end, you can actually check it every time that you submit into the system. Then the system, we call it like built-in compliant agent. They will check it and then we tell you, okay, this part maybe not really compliant. We rewrite that. So it fixed, and it is going to be much easier to fix when it's still at the beginning, rather than it's going through the long chain of everyone and then you fix this again and it takes another month and so on. So that is what we are trying to solve with agentic flows.
Wow. I could imagine a real world example of that where you have a pharma company that wants to write a post about one of their products. And like you said, it's highly regulated. You can't make certain claims and you have to be careful about the imagery. And and all sorts of things. So you could actually have one agent craft the blog post from a, say there was a press release about the product. All right, we want to write a blog post about that. We want to insert assets that are approved. And then an agent, which is essentially called a compliance agent, then checks it, makes sure everything okay, fixes it, and then sends it on to be made into also a YouTube short and also an Instagram story. And that's all automated across agents, which is really exciting. And I think we'll start to see companies really benefit from tools like yours. So moving on to the future. So let's get out our crystal ball and imagine what the future is going to look like. How do you think people will be interacting with agentic workflows in the future?
I would say because the barrier to entry is right now lower and lower, and the model are also getting better and cheaper as well. Just yesterday, OpenAI is just dropping their latest model 50% off on the price. And actually, it's going to be amazing for us because we have benefit a lot from that advancement on the model. So it means the capability of agentic flow is going to be higher. We can handle more kinds of tasks that can co-pilot with the human operator so that they can do more with less time to focus. So it means some of the kinds of like repetitive tasks like policing, post-processing, or maybe checking fact checks or research can be done by the agent helping the operator. And it's going to be more majority of the content that we consume on the internet is going to be either agent assist to create or maybe fully automated creation or repurposing by the AI that they will based on the blog post that you already have. They just transform that into another media format that you can post, and it's still compliant and it's based on the fact that you already create with the first blog post. So it is fine and so for everyone.
Yeah, it seems like the first hurdle of getting an agent set up, right? Getting the workflow correct, figuring it out, testing it, making it work. It obviously is worth the effort because you might save 1,000 times that amount or 1,000,000 times that amount of time. But how are we going to get over this hurdle that humans, put in front of themselves of just, I don't want to do the work to set up an agent. I don't want to figure it out. I just want to, get the work done today. So are we gonna surpass that, or is that always going to be a big hurdle?
Yeah, so I think you are just spot on. So the learning curve to building a workflow is high, and not many people that willing or have the capability to catch up on that fast. So we need to lower that barrier to entry. So the first part is we already have the no-code workflow where you can trick, but that is not the first entry point. The first entry point would be your SOP, your process. You already have that process already. You just copy and paste, and then we will have the agent workflow builder that's going to read that SOP and then transform. This is like a Lego with building block, right? We have like around 200 building block that doing different things like Google Sheet connector or maybe like Google Drive connector, create email, create video, create text. So those are building block as like Lego block. And then our workflow assist agent is going to try to come up with a workflow that's going to solve your task instead of like you come up with yourself. So it's like the 0 to 1 is going to be done for you. And then after that, you can click and run it if it's work or not working. And if it's not working, then just edit it. Or maybe you just tell the agent, will say, hey, I don't like this one. The step number 2, you do it wrong. You do it again. So what it does is that it's going to repeat the process. It will do the thinking and maybe swapping the Lego block from this one to another one. And then over time, I think it's going to reach to certain threshold that you can accept to use that in order to solve some like low value added tasks or repetitive tasks that you spend a lot of time but not much value comparing to what are you doing. So that is the worth investment. And in one company, we don't really need everyone to build workflow. We just need subject master expert to build workflow.
Do you think we'll see a specialization for a job role in building agentic workflows, or do you think it'll just be so easy to use natural language that really anyone who's using, tools like Word or Excel will be able to deploy their own agents?
I would say we are heading to the world that everyone can just prompting to modify the workflow and use. But we actually seeing at the moment there are AI agency. They are already start to using these kinds of workflow. They are like just deployment to some of the non-tech people because actually you just pay for the AI agency and they come, they set up for you and it's done for you, right? And they are getting the expertise and this is like the new economy for those AI agencies to step into enterprise and helping them. It's like SAP, right? So they are just doing SAP for you, but AI, I think AI will flow.
Gosh, that's interesting business opportunity, right? We probably will see a massive number of AI agencies that go in and install AI processes for you, and that'll be exciting to see actually. And I could see that being necessary because a lot of enterprises have very strict privacy concerns or data protection policies, and I know that's one thing at Intel we're really excited about, this fact that we actually make the compute and we can control the privacy and the trackability of it. So we've got a couple more questions that I'd love to chit chat about. So could you share a success story or a case study that really highlights the impact of AI agents for one of your clients' businesses?
Yeah, so one of our client is MMA Global. It's a non-profit organization. It stands for Mobile Marketing Association. It have like around 800 companies, which big brand that you know about in their organization. So they are hosting the event to foster the latest trending in marketing and so on. So what we're helping them is that in the events, right, you are joining the event and like 3,000 people that joining the event and you would like to amplify in the event, then there's no better way than your audience. That 3,000 people is going to be sharing to their social media and then saying that, okay, I'm joining this event, the MMA Innovate 2024, you should join me as well. So in order to produce them, right now they are just sending email and they say to people like some social kit, but that is must, this is not personalized. But what we are providing to them is that you can have an agent that going to take the user photo and then it will be bring them into a social frame. Let's say I'm Sean, I'm the co-founder of Pixel ML, and I'm going to join MMA Innovate 2024. And then it also even generate a caption for me. And then the audience, like 3,000 audience, can generate the social frame for themselves and they can post on social media and it's amplify your event and your impact without like your designer have to design for 3,000 people. So that will be
Wow.
impossible task, right? If you are just doing that design for everyone, but it will be very easy
Right.
when you set up an agent that do it for you, and you send that link to your audience, and they can do it themselves. And that is one of the obvious use case that we have in here.
Wow. That's really cool. That kind of goes along with a framework someone told me of. Imagine that you had infinite time. What would you do with that infinite time? And that's usually a perfect use case for an AI agent.
Yes.
Because you can deploy, thousands or millions of agents and effectively create infinite time for yourself. I also liked how you said, when you look at the scale of high impact and low risk, items that score high on that's an obvious low hanging fruit for agentic workflows. So let's again get out our crystal ball and think about the end of 2025. What do you think agentic workflows will look like at the end of 2025?
So for the agentic flow, right now we are doing the B2B side. So we are trying to be present on big marketplace like AWS Marketplace and Azure. So because we would like to target to the enterprise level customer because they are value the privacy and also they also have experiencing the pain of like having a lot of data, a lot of assets but cannot utilize that. So they will be in need for a solution that can one-click deployment the entire your custom agentic workflow that sit on your data center for your employee to do working with your data. So those are like the low-hanging fruit and also the case study that we are targeting at the moment. And I'm also talking to Intel Cloud team. I think you are also preparing for something similar, and I'm happy to be one of the first to be deployed on that marketplace. And I hope that my solution can run on data center that powered by Intel AI. Because right now we already partnership with Intel for a while, right? Doing the Intel Liftoff. Like last month in the MMA Innovate 2024, we did an amazing art moment that's going to be the partnership between Intel, PixelML, and one of the number one company in Vietnam, Curating. It's like eBay for Vietnam. So three company we provide like kind of like AI experience, and we got a like number one interactive award of the day for that one. I also have a video I sent you, Eugene, and you can send it to you later. But
Exciting.
yeah.
On that front, you are a part of our Intel Liftoff program, which we're really excited about. What does Intel Liftoff provide you, and why did you join?
Well, I would say I was really impressive about the way that you are organizing the accelerator. I have been joining different accelerator and so on, but this is truly amazing because you give the compute and you give an engineer that doing the 2 times a week call with us to solve the problem that we are solving. And even for the event that we are saying that I need a Gaudi too, to like bring that experience. And I was just shout out to the group and say, hey, do you think you're interested to sponsor this event? And you said yes. And in just like 1 week and a half, we set it up. I have a Gaudi 2, and then I set that event. We won the first innovative award of the MMA Global 2024 in the Innovate event. I think that's just amazing collaboration and support, and that just amazed me. And I'm looking for like the marketplace and also everything else that you guys are having laid out. And I really strongly believe that it's going to be the bright future ahead with the collaboration.
Love it. Well, we're so glad that you're in Liftoff, and it is pretty exciting. We can offer you actual compute and then compute engineering to help you support you and ideally, see you lift off. So we'll wind it down there. I want to encourage everybody who's listening to check out agenticflow.ai and play around with agents. I know you can try it for free. I actually played around with it this morning, was impressed. Tell us a little bit more about where people can go to follow you on social media or where they should check out more about Agentic Flow.
So my Twitter handler is Sean P and dash and AI. You can find me on Twitter, on LinkedIn with the same handle. So I'm mostly active on the Twitter and LinkedIn, so you can find me there.
Awesome. Well, Sean, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for helping us understand where agentic workflows are going to go and where agents are going to go and content supply chain solutions with AI. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon. Take care.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate for the opportunity. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Visit intel.com/AI to learn more.